Jnanatamandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Malatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Okay. So we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 10, entitled The Opulence to the Absolute. Last week we looked at text 15, but we didn't do the purport, so we'll read the Sanskrit again. Text 15. And just a little recap, and this section is enlightening us the qualifications or criteria for understanding God, if we want to understand God. This is explained in this section. What's required to understand God? And in text 14 it explains this is Arjuna's realization that he's accepting everything Krishna says in truth. Sarvam etad ritam manye. So ritam means truth. So we need to, if we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we need to accept whatever Krishna says in truth. It means faith. We need to have full faith in whatever Krishna says, or as representative, the spiritual master. Of course, Arjuna is directly hearing from Krishna, so he's accepting what Krishna says in truth. We're not, you could say, directly hearing from Krishna, although, we're reading Bhagavad Gita now, so we're directly hearing from Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, even though it was spoken 5,000 years ago. We're directly hearing from Krishna. But also we directly hear from the spiritual master, the representative of Krishna. So we should have full faith also in the words of the spiritual master, who is the representative of God. And that way we can make progress. And Prabhupada expressed that realization himself. That was the reason why he said he was successful, because he had full faith in the words of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he just dedicated his whole life to try to carry out the orders of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he attributed that as the secret of success in spiritual life, is to strictly follow the orders of the spiritual master. So this is in this section we're getting that understanding that we need to have full faith that Krishna is the authority, and we should follow that. And like I said, also, we shouldn't just blindly follow any authority. You need to identify properly who is the real authority, because like we said, if you follow the wrong authority, you'll end up in a ditch. The blind leading the blind, you'll end up in a ditch.
Both will go to the heaven. No, sorry.
No, not to heaven.
You know what happened?
Down the Googler.
I told you last week, there was one in India, there was a blind fellow was standing, and the blind just hold his hand, and they both cross the road. The blind think he's the one, and the other blind think he's the one helping me. And they both cross the road nicely, happily, and then, nothing happened. Because Krishna was karma.
With them.
Krishna was with them, watching from the top.
Good karma.
Yeah.
But don't always expect your good karma will continue on. Ideally, we need to follow someone that can see, right? That's obvious. We need to follow someone that can see. So like we said, in this prayer we recite every time, Om Jnanatamandasya Gananjana Shalakaya, that, I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual masters opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. So this is the situation in the material world, that people are in ignorance and people are in darkness. So we need to follow someone that has their eyes open, that can see. That's in knowledge, and that's the pure devotee of the Lord, or the Lord himself. That's the best way to make progress. So let's look at this verse again. We'll recite it again, and we already read the translation, but we'll read over it again. Text 15. Swayam eva manatmanam.
Swayam eva manatmanam.
Vaita tvam purushottama.
Vaita tvam purushottama.
Bhuta bhavana bhutesha.
Bhuta bhavana bhuteshu.
Deva deva jagatpate.
Deva Deva Jagatpate. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all being, God of gods, Lord of the universe.
This makes complete sense, isn't it? It's logical. Who's the best person to know ourself? It's ourself, right?
Yes.
Who's the best person that knows Gulshan? Gulshan. That knows
Yes.
deeper. Bhakti-mala.
Sometimes I've got a question. Sometimes I've got a question that who am I? I don't know myself. I didn't come to this. I didn't come in this planet with my choice, and I will not depart with my choice, isn't it? And in between, 70, 80 years, if I'm lucky, and then what's Prabhupada said, you have to be serious. Why so serious in 70, 80 years? You just have to be depart anyway. Just chant and be happy and dance and feast. Serious, I don't know, serious word doesn't go into my veins. I don't know. I'm just dancing all the time. I just put the petrol the other day.
I mean, you know that the best, that you're not a serious person. You're just a joker. So, you know that.
That's right. Yeah. I was dancing
better than anyone else.
7-Eleven, put the petrol, and then she was, what happened? I said, well, do I have any reason to be happy? Look at it. I'm in Australia. I'm not in Iran. I'm not in Israel. I'm the luckiest person on the planet. And I'm dancing. He said, oh my God, either you're crazy. I said, no, I'm happy. That's all.
Yeah, so you understand those qualities about yourself, that you're a grateful person, that you feel you're lucky, by what you've got in your life, you're grateful for that. So, the best way to find out about a person is to ask them directly, isn't it? If I want to find out about Bhakti Mala, the best person to ask to understand Bhakti Mala is to ask Bhakti Mala, or to ask Jayanti. If you want to understand Jayanti, then ask Jayanti, and she can explain herself, which is difficult because women are complicated. I had to throw that one in.
Yeah, to throw that in.
Just for a joke. I told you that story, right? I told you, was it last week or recently? I told that story about one genie was released, and he offered some wishes to the guy that released him. Make a wish like that. What do you want? And he said, I want a multi-lane bridge crossing from one island to another place, the mainland. Make a bridge for me. Oh, and he said, oh, that's too difficult. Can you make another wish? And then he said, okay, can you make it that my wife is always going to be satisfied, happy with me? And he said, how many lanes did you want on your bridge? Of course, that's materially speaking. Of course, if the woman like Jayanti is transcendental, those kind of problems won't be there.
Yeah. He knows I'm here now. So.
You know what? You know why you're laughing? Because anyone come in my association, they started laughing and jumping. It's just the association. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Actually, it's a fact that once someone becomes a devotee, then the ordinary material qualities don't apply as much, because like in the scriptures, it's mentioned that women are less intelligent. So, but Prabhupada explained, that's for a materialistic woman. But once the woman becomes Krishna conscious, then that doesn't apply anymore. So we see that, the material qualities, they don't apply to someone once they're become serious about Krishna consciousness.
But if we tell anyone there, those who are not devotee, a woman, she'll take personal. You shouldn't say like that.
Because even men, if they're not Krishna conscious, they're less intelligent. They're in the category of like Sudras and so forth. And but after we come to Krishna consciousness, then we transcend these things, and we can look at that. That's in the 14th chapter, the second to last verse, 26.
I think women are more intelligent than men.
What's that?
I think in general, women are more intelligent than men.
Materially, yeah. Yeah, materially.
I
There's
mean,
different kinds of intelligence.
I've been in few women in my 35-year life, and this I was playing the snake and ladder. Snake and ladder,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
playing that, and they play chess. They know my 3 move ahead. Who said that woman not smart?
But
Yeah,
you have to know what the scriptures mean by intelligence also,
sure.
because we
What's the
don't understand. Yeah,
14
just
chapter?
read 14:26, the verse.
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
So even in a man's body, a devotee has to, transcend that I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm not a man. As we've spoken, the verse recited by Lord Chaitanya, I'm not a brahmana, I'm not a kshatriya, I'm not a vaishya, I'm not a sudra, I'm not a brahmachari, I'm not a grihastha, I'm not a vanaprastha, I'm not a sannyasi. I am the servant of the servant of Krishna, who is the maintainer of the gopis. So that's a very beautiful verse. Atma Shuddhi, even the pujaris. Did you get told that one when you doing your pujari service? Look at that verse. Naham pro na cha narapatir napi vaisha na sudro. It's called Atma Shuddhi, like in the pujari sort of guidelines. It's recommended to do Atma Shuddhi before you go on the altar. And that verse establishes that we're not any bodily kind of designation. We're Krishna's servant. No, that didn't come up.
I only did the only one they showed me was the prayer that you say afterwards to counteract any offenses that you caused.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like do Archiman and stuff, but yeah, they never taught me that one. No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Krishna consciousness means that we should get free from all these bodily designations. If we're still in these bodily designations, then that's less intelligent, whatever body we're in, like that. But if we're genuinely becoming Krishna conscious, it means we're not bodily conscious, right? It means you're conscious of Krishna and your relationship with Krishna, that I'm a spirit soul and I have an eternal relationship with Krishna. And if you've forgotten that relationship, then you're thinking you're a man, you're a woman, you're a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, and so forth, like that, some kind of bodily designation. So the only solution is to become Krishna conscious. So yeah, Prabhupada said that doesn't apply to devotee women. That's the non-devotees. And even like Gulshan mentioned, that women seem to be in many cases more intelligent than men. That's the fact that materially women tend to be very expert and at material affairs. And that's exactly why they're regarded as less intelligent, because they're more absorbed in matter in the material world. And whereas the quality of the men is that they can more easily let go of the material side of
But
things. They can
woman
more
is very
easily get go.
tolerant, very tolerant.
People,
Woman is very
yeah, no,
tolerant.
I was going to say the same thing, that the women that, I have known, they are even more spiritually inclined than the men always, that they, in whatever form of spirituality, they tend to be more swayed that way than men have been. Yeah. So I just
Yeah, I
want
mean,
more.
definitely that's a fact too. They're more religious. I mean, like if you go to any churches, temples, or mosques around the world, generally there'll be more women in them than men. So there we see they're more religious, but there's a difference between being religious and being spiritual. And what would that be? One important factor in being spiritually advanced is to be detached from material things, right? Now that is a difficulty in a woman's body. That is a difficulty, to detach yourself from material things. Whereas men can very easily do that if they're trained. If they're not trained, of course they can't, but if they're trained, like from brahmachari, then they can just detach themselves from family life, from money, jobs, whatever. They can just walk away. Whereas woman's nature is to be attached. That's the nature of a woman, to be attached. And that's not wrong in the sense that, like, how are you going to have families and how are you going to raise children to be a good human being if the woman, as well as the man, says, okay kids, see you later, I'm off, you look after yourselves.
Women
It's not
can't
going to
say that.
work, you know. Every child is going to grow up being dysfunctional, like many are. You know, we see if the parents are not, you know, doing their jobs, then the children grow up very dysfunctional. So, you know, Krishna's set that up, that the woman is very attached to the home and the children and everything. So then it becomes a nice, loving environment to grow up and everything like that. So that's required. However, that makes it difficult for the woman to progress spiritually. They can be very religious, of course, and go along to all the, you know, religious functions and everything, but to the point of just walking away from material attachments.
That's why the old 32 lineage, like from the front page, we can see that in Bhagavad Gita, from all Lord, from Lord Krishna to all the way to Prabhupada, there is no woman, all men. Is that the reason? In 33, all that, there's no woman.
See, for a woman to occupy that position as like a guru, as an acharya, is also very difficult, because that's going to mean they're in public. That's going to mean everyone's looking at them, and you know, they're the big gurus sitting on the Vyasasana and everyone's worshipping them like that. That makes and for that soul in that woman's body is going to make it very difficult. That's not recommended in Vedic culture, for the woman to be in the center of the public attention, because then that can be dangerous for them, you know. And that it's the Vedic culture is training the woman to be very shy. Shy means, you know, you're out of the public eye. And in modern society, we discourage that in the girls, right? From a young age, don't be shy. Why are you so shy? That's naturally inbuilt in a young girl, is to be shy, isn't it? They'll hide behind the parents, you know, in a public place and stuff like that. And we say, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Come in front, come in front. But that's the nature's protection, so that the women don't get exploited. You know, we see previously in all the cultures, the woman would be at home and the men would go out working. That was so the woman would be protected. Of course, modern society frowns upon that. No, we got to get the woman out in public and get her working and everything like that. But we see they often get exploited. Exploited by who? By low-class men. So we're not just glorifying the men. You know, the reason why the woman shouldn't go in public is because there's low-class men that are like just debauchees like that. So to protect the woman from these low-class men, then they're safer if they're out of the public eye and so forth like that. So to put the woman in the guru's position is very difficult. I mean, if you can see that after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and many of his associates left, then who became in charge of the Krishna consciousness movement? You always need some leader. As we said, you know, like the Bhakti tree now is, you know, without a proper leader. So they need to find a leader. Every organization needs a leader. So after Lord Chaitanya left, Lord Nityananda left, so many of the Panchatattva left, who's going to be the leader? Who was qualified to be the leader? Devotees selected Janava Mata, who was the wife of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda had two wives. So one of his wives, Janava Mata, was selected as the leader. Okay. But was she getting out there in public, sitting on a stage with, you know, 10,000 men mostly, you know, out there like that and leading the kirtan and giving class? No. Some man would do that part, but she would still be in charge, but from home. You know, anyone wanted to come and see her, they would have to go to her. would have to go to her, and she would be behind a curtain and speak to the man like that. That's culture. Not she's out in public like that in front of all the men are looking at her. And if the men get attracted to that woman standing up there, is that good for the men?
No.
No. So therefore the women are kept out of the man's eye, so they don't
But it
degrade
can,
themselves by
but
becoming lusty.
it can be other way around too. If the man is giving the lecture and then women look at it and the men look at it and both look at each other and they smile and then they end up with getting married.
No, it's different. It's different. It's different. I'm not saying women don't get attracted to men, but women's attraction, like I said, is to many things. They're attracted to a house, they're attracted to clothes, they're attracted to jewelry, they're attracted to nice food, they're attracted to so many things. But men's attraction is just to one thing. They're just attracted to the form of a woman. So that's the one main weakness in the man's psychology. We're just looking at the psychology, how it's working, and the man has one main weakness, whereas women have many small weaknesses, but men have one big one like that. So the culture is there to protect the man from getting degraded by that one weakness like that. So that's
and one weakness is very big,
That's
any
very
woman
big.
come and drag you down for that. She knows the strength of herself, and then once she look at that for the side angle with a smile, you're gone.
Yeah.
So therefore Vedic culture understanding that, then set up the whole culture like that. So yeah, woman can be a leader of a spiritual organization and that, but it would traditionally be on different terms, not in public and so forth and like that. And also because women tend to be very emotional, what happens if the woman became the guru and everything like that? And then what happens if the disciple falls down or something happens or dies or something like that? How would the woman handle that? They're going to get very emotional. They're not going to be able to handle. A man can just let go, just detach. Okay, I tried my best to help the guy, and he's still blooped or whatever, and just life goes on. But for the woman, you just be devastated. It'd just be devastating. Just more emotional and like that. And that's natural. It's natural for the woman to be emotional. We're not saying they shouldn't be emotional. Not saying they shouldn't be hard-hearted or whatever like that. No, it's good that they're soft-hearted, but it's not good to put the soft-hearted woman in the position of a big guru. And if something goes wrong with the disciples' lives or whatever, then it just creates a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of problems like that. So there's many reasons why it's all done like that.
In actually ancient Indian history, there's lots of women that were, these were Kshatriya women, and they were actually ruling the kingdom, either because their husband passed away and their child was too small, or that their father didn't have a son. Yeah, so there are examples.
Yeah, but that's like a last resort, and that's an exception. That's not the rule. So there's always exceptions. That's very rare. Very rare.
What do you think?
In Vedic culture, you'd never happily put a woman on the battlefield. That's like how you love your daughter or your wife or your mum. You're not going to send her out on the battlefield. I mean, God, what kind of guy you are?
I mean, if
women should be protected.
If it's the next door kingdom attacking you, all the men are died, and like woman has to come out with the AK-47 and fight and protect their kingdom.
Yeah, so it's the last resort. Yeah, like I say, it's the last resort. Yeah. It's not the first.
In Indian history, there is some women there. They did that, back in time of the Muslim people ruling there. It's just really come out with that. But the man was in the society, and the woman come out and fight.
Yeah, but that's the last resort. You'll see in the Battle of Kurukshetra, there's not one woman there. Not one woman in Malacor, etc.
Well, Deepa wasn't there on that time. If Deepa would be there, I reckon she will take the sword out and then just attack, and then
And there's other
go on the-
practical things too, like women go off the altar every month for a few days they're out of action or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can't, that's going to make it difficult. If you're on the front lines like that, and you can't function for some of the time. So it's just easier and more practical if the men do that job. But it doesn't mean that the men are going to got a better opportunity to go back to Godhead. The women have equal opportunity to go back to Godhead by just doing their duties, raising the families and following the husband and so forth like that, or just chanting Hare Krishna and worshipping the deities at home. One man, I mean, he was so successful in business, and all the other successful businessmen would ask him, "What's the secret of your success? How did you become so successful?" He said, "The reason why I'm successful is because when I go out to the office, my wife stays home and worships the deities. And because Krishna's pleased that we're worshipping him, therefore I'm successful at work." I mean, that's intelligent. That's culture. He's not saying I'm successful because I'm just running around, making money. He's saying I'm successful because my wife is very, faithfully, sincerely
or
worshipping the deities every day. And
he
if we
can
neglect
say,
to do that, if we don't worship the deities, then things aren't going to work so well.
or he can
Things
say
aren't
a
going to work
different
so
way
well.
is that to be, if somebody asks me why you're successful, because I do Saturday, Sunday Harinam, and then Krishna says that person is very dear to me. The one who is put my name up there, that's why, like Saturday, Sunday, I do all the street in Harinam. That's why Monday to Friday I'm successful.
Yes.
Definitely, it can be like that. Definitely. Oh, Giant and I went on Harinam yesterday. It was ecstatic. Yeah, it's great. And I'm sure Krishna will be pleased and
definitely.
and we can become successful. Definitely.
I think Bhaktimala had a question, or she was going to say something.
Oh no, I was just thinking about it's not really that relevant, but you just notice in society today that a lot of women are becoming more like men.
Yeah.
Like they dress like men and they act like men, and a lot of men are becoming more feminine too.
That's in the Bhagavad Gita.
And
yeah,
and I know we've talked about it before, but it's just interesting in because we're sort of talking about men and women that you see women are developing a lot of men's qualities as well, like masculine qualities, like if you see women police officers and women are in the army and women are doing so many things that they want to be equal to men in that way.
Yeah. But the big question to ask is anyone happy? Are the women happy doing that? Are the men happy being like women? Are the women happy being like men? Is anyone happy? And I find it highly unlikely. A lot of the people are frustrated in modern day society. There's so much frustration, so much anxiety, so much fear, so many negative kind of emotions are there, so many dysfunctional people. And they don't know who they are. They don't even know. We have this LBQT, whatever, PS, whatever.
LGBTQT.
Yeah, that they don't know
what?
whether they're a man or a woman. What's that?
Since they say LGBTQ, I'm trying to find out which one I am.
Yeah, lesbian, transvestite,
you
whatever.
can be a
this
they
bisexual,
now.
whatever.
You don't have to be a man or a woman. You can be a they.
A they, yeah.
What's
A
that?
they. That's if you don't identify as a man or a woman.
I can be a bae. I can't be a bae.
And they tend to be, as we notice, I mean, you see them on TV and that, they're very angry people. I mean, why is it someone's angry? Because they're frustrated in their desires. When that's how anger develops. When you have an attachment,
yes,
and when you can't fulfill that attachment, we can look at that. And 264 around that area, second chapter text 64. Is it 64? Maybe it's earlier than that.
No, it might be 56.
No, I think it's not 64. Yeah,
56.
Johnny says 56. It's later on in the second chapter. It's just getting there now. Yeah. 62 and 63. So you want to read that 62, 63?
62.
While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from the lust, anger arises. From the anger, complete delusion arises, and from the delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
So this is the sequence, how we become degraded in the material world. And part of that sequence, we can see that when you have a desire, calm, which is lust, and when you can't fulfill that desire, then it turns to anger. So if you see people are so angry and everything, it's not a good sign. It means, they have so many desires and, can't fulfill the desire. And due to frustration, and then they become angry.
Desire can be anything. Could be the position, could be the
Sure.
money, or could be anything.
Sure.
Lust is anything, and if it doesn't fulfill,
so there's so many different kinds of lust. Yeah. But unfulfilled desire, when the desires, any kind of material desire is unfulfilled, then it tends to lead to anger. And that's and there, like it said, for after the anger comes, then you lose your memory, you lose your intelligence.
So in the devotee, he if he has a desire, if it doesn't fulfill, he doesn't get angry because he's a devotee, or he doesn't desire. What's out of
well,
these
I mean, you can't stop desiring, but we should just stop our material desires and desire to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. That's the idea. Whereas the impersonalists, they want to just destroy all the desires and not desire anymore. But that's not a very sustainable, practical platform, because we can't become like a rock. I mean, have you ever seen an off switch on anyone? You can't turn off our personality, our individuality or anything. The best thing is just to direct our desires towards Krishna. Like the gopis, they have very strong desires, but it's to please Krishna. The Arjuna, in the beginning, he had a desire to please himself, which was to not fight. But that, you can see, led to so much frustration, and in his case, a lot of fear. And we can read that, the result of Arjuna's being frustrated in his desires. Here it is. Here, just open right to the page. First chapter, text 28, 29, and 30.
Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quaking and my mouth drying up." If your mouth drying up, you can eat this, drink 7-Up. But my body, because Prabhupada says I can drink 7-Up. My whole body is trembling. My hairs is standing on the end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of Kansi, demon. So so
that's enough.
It's
so I mean, he's so disturbed because his desires are not being fulfilled. He can see just a really bad outcome, and his family members and friends and relatives being killed is not a good outcome for him. So he's completely in anxiety. so much anxiety, so much fear, so much disappointment.
So
like
if he doesn't have any question from the very first day, if he say, Krishna, whatever you say, I do, that's it, then all the Gita wouldn't be spoken. If he from the first day, Arjuna says, look, you know what? Yes, you're the great, wonderful, let's fight. Right. And there won't be any 780 shloka, nothing gonna happen.
Yeah.
If
so now we've looked at the outcome of material desires. It just leads to so much frustration. Now let's look at the outcome of spiritual desires. Go to 1873.
1873. Yes, Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible, O one, my illusion is now gone. I'm regained my memory by your mercy. I'm now firm and free from the doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. If you tell these things in second chapter, there won't be any happening there.
So Krishna arranged that Arjuna would enter into this kind of Maya illusion so that we could hear this answers to all these kind of issues that we have. Because we're the ones that have all these doubts.
Yeah.
We're all the ones that have all these issues. So, yeah, this is for our benefit that Krishna put Arjuna into this kind of illusion, and like an ordinary materialistic person would be. But yeah, no, the secret is not to stop desiring, but just to change it from a material desire. And what's the material desire? Is the desire to please our own senses.
Yeah.
That's what calm or lust is. When we have a desire to please our own senses. And when you have a desire to please Krishna's senses, that's called love, which is prema. So this is calm, lust, and prema, love. So the desire to please our own senses is lust, and the desire to please Krishna's senses is love. So we're just changing the desire from pleasing ourselves to pleasing Krishna. And that makes a massive difference. And that desire to please Krishna's senses, that's also known as bhakti. So that's activities that we're doing to please Krishna is known as bhakti, which is love, which is what love is, like that. And there's 9 different categories of those activities to please Krishna. You can, by hearing about Krishna, we do that to please Krishna, and Krishna enjoys that. And then chanting Krishna's names and qualities and pastimes and so forth. And then remembering Krishna, worshipping Krishna, serving his lotus feet, rendering menial service, making a friendship with Krishna, surrendering everything to Krishna, like offering prayers to Krishna. So like that, there's 9 different ways we can perform different activities for the pleasure of Krishna, and that's what love is. And that will bring, complete fulfillment and satisfaction, not end up in disappointment, frustration, fear, and so many things. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into this verse today then. 10th chapter, text 15. So we started off talking about the swayam eva manatmanam. The best person that knows ourself is ourself. So the best person that knows Krishna is Krishna. So if you want to know Krishna, how are you going to find out? The best way to find out about Krishna is from Krishna. And that's why we are hearing from Bhagavad Gita, because it's Krishna speaking about himself. Krishna speaking about himself. And the only other way to find out about Krishna, other than from Krishna himself, is from Krishna's devotees, because Krishna's devotees know Krishna as much as possible. There's some background noise somewhere.
I'm at the library because must be from my side, and then all the desks, or maybe I go to the other desk because the desks were full, and then the desk available was close to the kids area. Maybe I'll try to move. Let's see, 1 second.
Otherwise, we can just
turn your mic off, Gulshan.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The mic off, and then it's good actually when I talk and then nobody can listen. I talk too much.
Yeah, and if you want to say something, just turn it back on. No problem. So yeah, the best way to find out about Krishna is from Krishna himself. Otherwise, from Krishna's representative, the devotee who knows Krishna. And the devotee knows Krishna to some degree, and that's why Arjuna is saying here that only Krishna alone knows himself. He's not proudly saying, I know everything about Krishna, but that he's being very humble also. I mean, Arjuna does have a lot of realization about Krishna, but it is a fact that Krishna knows himself better than anyone, including devotees. But devotees do know Krishna to a large degree, and we know that Arjuna does know Krishna to a large degree because he's expressing here his realizations of Krishna further by saying, so there's so many names here he's giving here. Where is it? Purushottama. And it's interesting this word comes up because this month is called Purushottam Mas. Mas means month, and this is the month of Purushottama. It comes once every 3 years. Jayanti put a link on the soul searching group about a bit of a background about Purushottam Mas. But it's a very special month, once every 3 years, because the solar calendar and the lunar calendar slowly become disconnected. They're not fitting. They're not fitting exactly. You've got the solar calendar with 365 days a year, and then you've got the lunar calendar with the moon cycle, full moon, new moon, all this kind of things like that. So there's a bit of a difference there between the lunar and the sun calendar and the moon calendar. So to adjust that and keep it connected properly, that it's become separated by about a month after 3 years. So to bring it back on track, and they add in another month, and that's called Purushottam Mas. It used to be very inauspicious, this extra month, but there's in Vedic culture, it's understood that there's a person that controls everything. Everything is controlled by a person. So nothing is just inanimate object alone. There's always a person that controls it. So there's a person that controls the sun, person that controls the moon. Even the north direction, there's a person that controls the northern direction. The east direction, there's a person, south, west, like that, up and down. Even there's a person that controls the air, the water, you name it. There's so many demigods that control different things. But even the months, there's a person in charge of January, February, March, April, May, 12 months. There's a person in charge. This extra month also, there's a personified person controlling this Purushottam Mas. And that person was feeling so upset that no one likes me, that everyone despised that extra month. I think it was known as Mala Mas before. It used to be known as the Mala Mas. Mala means Mala. So Mala means very contaminated, So no one wanted to have anything to do with this person and this month that the person controlled. So that person appealed to, I think, Lord Brahma, and then Lord Brahma couldn't figure out what to do, so went to the main man himself, Lord Narayan, and Lord Narayan felt compassionate on this Malamas and contaminated month, and said, okay, from now on, I'm going to make you the best of all months by my mercy. You're going to be known by my name, Purushottam, because the Lord is Purushottam. He's Purusha means person, and Uttama means the topmost. the topmost person. That's Purushottama, the topmost person. So from now on, you're going to be known as the Purushottam month, the month of the supreme person, the topmost person. So like that, he got many benedictions like that. And that's also that in Puri, Lord Jagannath is there. He's also known as Purushottama. He's also known as Purushottam. So nice that this word comes up, this name of the Lord comes up today during this Purushottam Mas. And so this is Arjuna's realization of Krishna, that he's the greatest of all persons, Purushottama. He's the Bhuta Bhavana, the origin of everything. He's the Bhuta Isha, the Lord of everything, everyone. Deva Deva, he's the Lord of all demigods. Jagat Pate, O Lord of the entire universe. So this is Arjuna's realization of who Krishna is. So although Arjuna is saying that Krishna, you're the only one that can explain yourself. However, the other option is to hear it from a devotee. But apart from Krishna or a devotee of Krishna, you're not going to be able to understand God. That's not possible. So this is what we're getting in this section. This is what we're getting in this section. And why, how is it that a devotee knows God to so much of a great degree? Do you know why? How is it that a devotee has such a deep realization about who God is?
By his association.
Where does that come from? Where does the devotee's knowledge about God come from?
By what he's heard of God. No?
Yeah, but what he's heard about God from someone else that heard, from someone else that heard, from someone else that heard, and then originally from God. In Arjuna's case, it's direct. He's directly hearing from Krishna. But in others' cases, Krishna, Lord Brahma heard from Krishna, and then Narada heard from Lord Brahma, and that's written in the end of the introduction, our disciplic session. And then Vyasadeva heard from his guru, Narada, and then Shukadeva Goswami heard it from his guru, which was also his father, like that, Vyasadeva. So Shukadeva Goswami heard like that. So in that way, the knowledge gets passed down. So that's how a devotee knows so much about God, because he has heard about God in disciplic session, which originally comes from God. The knowledge has to start from God, because like mentioned here, God is the only person that fully understands God. That's who he is, right? So God, who knows God the best? God. So if you want to understand God, you've got to hear from God, either directly or indirectly. You've got to hear from God like that. Does that make sense? That's pretty common sense. Either if you want to understand Gulshan, you've either got to hear it from Gulshan or from someone that knows Gulshan very well. Like if I wanted to find about Gulshan and couldn't talk to him, I could talk to his daughter. Could tell me a lot, isn't it? She could tell me a lot about you. You have to turn your mic back on. I can't hear you. You have to put your mic back on.
Or my dad, because my dad raised me, so he probably know me how I am. So he probably,
that's right.
He raised me from the little age. So he knows that how naughty I was since the school time and all that. He tell whole truth anyway. But you can't talk to my dad. He's in grave.
Yeah. So someone that either the person himself or someone that has an intimate relationship with them. And then because each person, including ourselves, would only reveal about ourself, our innermost secrets, to someone we trust. It has to be someone in our inner circle. A stranger is not going to understand ourselves, because you're not going to reveal your inner secrets and everything to a stranger. It has to be someone that we trust. It means a friend. Either it's like family or like a friend, right? If some close friend, then you're going to reveal your mind to them. And that's mentioned as the 6 loving exchanges. And you can look at that in the Nectar of Instruction. I think it's text number, ought to be about 4 or 5 of the Nectar of Instruction. The 6 loving exchanges amongst devotees. To give gifts and receive gifts. To give food and accept food. And to reveal our mind. And to for the other person to, hear what you're saying and then exchange back with you like that. So these are loving exchanges. So you do that with someone that you have a loving relationship with. You're going to reveal your mind. You're not going to reveal your mind to a stranger. You're going to reveal your mind to a friend. And that way the devotees can understand about the Lord, because the Lord, he trusts the devotee and he reveals himself like that. Does that make sense?
But the different relationships you have, the understanding is according to those relationships. For instance, when Gulshan said father, but yes, father, son, but then Anjali, your daughter has got a different perspective, and it would be different according to the different relationships. So it's a whole.
And then, Brett knows me. Brett has got a different aspect. Other Prabhu know me has a different aspect. Yeah, definitely. But the truth only Gulshan knows. If you ask me, I don't know who am I.
Yes.
You have to ask Krishna, because I'm the creation of Krishna.
In terms of your qualities and likes and dislikes, you know that. What you like, what you don't like. The best. How am I going to find out what you like and what you don't like? Best person is from you. Okay, so let's read the purport then. We can take turns. Supreme Lord.
The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjuna and his followers. Persons of demonic or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. Mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna, and since it is the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons.
Okay, we can stop there for now. Thank you, Deva. So it's very clear, Prabhupada's making it very clear, the Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service. So how can you enter into a relationship with God? Through devotional service. That's what it's saying, right? Who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service. So what that means is, if you want a relationship with God, you can do it by doing devotional service. If you do devotional service, that will bring you into a relationship with God. So this chanting that we're doing, or now we're hearing Bhagavad Gita like that, or someone's speaking Bhagavad Gita, someone's hearing the person speak the words of Bhagavad Gita, both of us, both parties, the hearer and the chanter, are engaging in devotional service. So by this simple method, we're actually coming into a relationship with God. These talks about God are identical with God. They're not different. These words of Bhagavad Gita are identical with Krishna. Just like the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is Krishna, is Krishna. One time a devotee said to Prabhupada, is Krishna inside the name? Prabhupada said, no. The name is Krishna. It's not like Krishna's inside the name. It's not like there's two things. There's the name and then there's Krishna. Now, the name is Krishna. That, we don't understand with our materialistic brain. Because our name, like, for example, our name is different than us. The name Deepa is different than the person Deepa. The name Gulshan is different than the person Gulshan, and so forth. But with Krishna, it's not like that. The name Krishna is identical with Krishna. When you say Krishna, or these words that Krishna has said, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo in 10.8, like that. Te Samsarada Yuktanam in 10.10, like that. These words spoken by Krishna are identical with Krishna. So as soon as you say those words, you're immediately associating with God. So this process is very powerful, and it immediately connects us with God and puts us into a relationship with God. And like Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna's dancing on your tongue. So you're immediately brought into an intimate relationship with Krishna just by engaging in these 9 processes of devotional service. When you remember Krishna, then Krishna's with you. You've entered into a relationship with Krishna. When you worship Krishna, when you offer the incense and the flowers and the ghee lamp and so forth, you're developing an intimate relationship with Krishna. When you offer prayers to Krishna, Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. Radha, Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. Please protect me from your Maya. I've forgotten you for so many lifetimes. Now, by the mercy of my spiritual master, has reawakened my knowledge of you. Please accept me back in your service. So if you offer some prayer to Krishna, that's putting you into an intimate relationship with Krishna. If, we make friends with so many, we make friends with the dog, friends with our boss, friends with the politicians, friends with our neighbors, but make friendship with Krishna. That immediately brings us back into a relationship with Krishna. When we say, that Krishna, I want to be your friend. Please be my friend, Krishna. I want to be your friend. Please accept me back and have a loving relationship with you again. So immediately we have all these kind of thoughts and feelings. Immediately that brings us back into a relationship with Krishna just by doing devotional service. And when I was serving my guru in his ashram, just inside the entrance, he had one little quote from Prabhupada, his spiritual master, which was very wonderful, saying that never underestimate the value of devotional service. That's all it said, not many words. Never underestimate the value of devotional service. 7 words, but very powerful because it immediately connects us with Krishna. Devotional service is non-different from Krishna, and it immediately brings us into intimately connected with Krishna, as explaining here. So the more we're in devotional service, that means the more we're transcendental to this material world. And that's why we read that verse in the beginning, 14:26, that if you constantly engage in devotional service and never fall down from devotional service, then immediately you're on the transcendental platform. Like that, immediately you're on the transcendental platform. So therefore, what an advanced devotee does, like Prabhupada, he's always going from one kind of devotional service to the next. He'll chant his japa, and then he'll be reading something or writing. In Prabhupada's case, he'd be writing the scriptures, writing commentaries on the scriptures, which is wonderful devotional service. And then he'd go and give a class to the devotees. Then he'd be taking prasada, like that. So it's always going from one devotional service to the next. So that's what we ideally want to be trying to developing in that direction, is just more and more being absorbed in devotional service. And you might think, well, but I've got to drive the taxi, the Uber car, or I've got to do the accounts or whatever like that. But, so how is it going to make that into devotional service? But, you can be remembering Krishna, which is devotional service, while you're doing all your activities. You can be, remembering Krishna. You can remembering Krishna. Like I can be, doing work in the garden or cooking in the kitchen, and I can remember the Harinam I went on yesterday. And it was amazing. When we were chanting, even people saw us, like they saw Jayanti had the tilak on, and I had the drum in my hands, and even just seeing us, people were going, Hare Krishna. It was so ecstatic, just them seeing us. And these are just real simple people, Maoris and that, not very highly advanced by material standards, but they're very fortunate that they heard the holy name and, seeing devotees, and they said Hare Krishna. And all their sins are destroyed just by them doing that, saying Hare Krishna from many lifetimes. So, I can be remembering that, while I'm doing my work. I can be remembering, I went on Harinam. I can remember, okay, well, this Friday I'm going to go on Harinam. Or like that, or the Rath Yatra's coming up. I can't wait to go on Rath Yatra. So I'm going to go to India, and I'm going to go to Mayapur and Vrindavan, and you can be thinking about that. So you can just be thinking and remembering Krishna while you're doing all your activities like that. Like what's in a devotee's heart? Prabhupada said 3 things: chanting, dancing, and feasting. So while a devotee is doing anything in the world, but he doesn't care about all those external things. Oh yeah, everyone's got to make some money, but it's not what you're thinking about, money, money, money. You have to make money and so forth. But where the devotee's heart and soul is always absorbed in chanting, dancing, and feasting, like that. That's what a devotee's always thinking about. Our bodies are doing so many things. We have to go toilet, we have to eat something, we have to sleep somewhere, like that. But that where a devotee's heart is, their consciousness is in these things in relationship with Krishna. They're thinking about when I will meet Krishna and what I will do. I will embrace Krishna and give him a garland and make some rasgulla for him and whatever. You can be thinking so many things like that, and that's Krishna consciousness.
Where did you go on Harinam?
It's probably one of the most poorest places in New Zealand, called Kaikoui, which is about an hour south of here. And it's a real sad town. Most of the shops are closed, empty, like that, and very poor people, most of them on the unemployment benefit, high Maori population. And but boy, so receptive, man, so receptive to Krishna consciousness. There's so many people were smiling and waving and saying Hare Krishna, isn't it? It was a Jayanti. It was so receptive.
Do they know where you are from, where you are? They'll all be coming to you, to your place.
We didn't tell them that otherwise. But yeah, so receptive, yeah. So receptive. Okay, so another thing that Prabhupada said some really powerful stuff in this paragraph. Where am I? I lost the point. Here it is. Okay. Persons of demoniac or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. There you go. So if you're a faithless person, what does it mean, demoniac, atheistic? It's a mentality. Prabhupada said mentality. It's not, don't think demon means you've got horns out of your head and you've got red fangs and you got a tongue that has a fork in the tongue and you got like big red eyes like that, blazing eyes or whatever, and you got black skin or anything like that. That's not what demoniac is. Not the body, but it's the mentality. So what's a demoniac mentality? Let's quickly look at that. So 16th chapter is the divine demoniac. Divine demoniac is the 16th chapter. So let's look at that. It starts from text 4. We can just read a string of verses from text 4. And if you understand this demoniac mentality, which is going to be explained here, is what disqualifies us from understanding God, from entering into a relationship with God. Okay? So you can just read the verses from text 4.
Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha.
I just skip 5 and 6. Yeah, it just says there's two different kinds of people. There's divine and demonic. Oh no, that's quite interesting. No, read it. Yeah.
The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. O son of
Yep.
Pritha, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac.
Yeah, so he explains some basic ones in text 4. Now more. We can read another few verses.
Those who are demoniac. Do you want to read, Gulshan? Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them.
Keep
Go
going.
on to
Yep.
the next one. They
Yep,
say
keep
that they say that this world is unreal with no foundations. No God is in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusion, the demoniac, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world.
Does it sound familiar? It seems like there's a lot of that going on right now, trying to destroy the world. God, there's a lot of demons, especially the ones in charge. Demons, all on all sides. They're just demons, and they're just planning to kill each other and destroy the whole world. Completely demoniac. Okay, we'll read another few more.
Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demoniac, thus illusion, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. 12. They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. Bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification.
And this next one goes right into the mind of a demon. That's very interesting, this 1:13 to 15. It's like Krishna is presenting the mind of the demon. And how does he know that? Because he's in their heart, right? As a super soul. Krishna's in their heart. He knows what the demon is thinking. And this is what the demon is thinking. It's very interesting.
The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance.
And just one more. We'll leave it at that.
60. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell.
Yeah, so that's the ultimate result for the demon, degraded. They're always desiring sense enjoyment. Like I said, lust. Their life is absorbed in that lust. Desire, like I said, what does lust mean? The desire to please our own senses. So they're always wanting to please their own senses. Very self-centered, selfish. And that's very common in modern day society. This is the demoniac mentality. So it's a mentality. It's not what the person looks like, but it's a particular mentality, and which has been very well described by Krishna there. And that disqualifies us from knowing God. That's the main problem. Disqualifies from knowing God, and it pushes us further and further away from God. The more we have a demonic mentality, we go further and further away from God, like that. And then, so that, like it says here, but persons of back to our purport for today, persons of demoniac atheistic mentality cannot know God, Krishna. Then it says mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. So what's wrong with mental speculation? Because it leads one away from Krishna. You cannot understand Krishna, God, with your mind. It's not possible. From your mind, try to work out who God is. You're never going to work it out. What will happen actually if you try to understand God with your mind, eventually what will happen is you come to the wrong conclusion. What is the wrong conclusion you come to? Is generally the conclusion will be, and like that was depicted there, is that I am the supreme enjoyer. I'm God. So through mental speculation, that's what all these impersonalists who go on speculating, they eventually come right round in a full circle. They start off by trying to escape the suffering of the material world through all their mental speculation. They try to find a way to escape the suffering and then they avoid sex, drugs, rock and roll, and all that kind of stuff. They detach themselves from sense gratification. That's all very good. No meat eating, no illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. They do everything, tick all the boxes. And they study books and everything like that. And they argue amongst themselves what is the reality, what's the truth, and what's false, what's Maya, and what's real, what's Brahman, and what's illusion. But eventually in their mind, what they come to the realization is that aham brahmasmi, I am spiritual. I'm not this body. I'm spiritual, which is very good. And then so I am spirit, and the goal is to become one with everything, merge into the spiritual oneness of everything. And basically the realization they come to is that, well, I am spirit, I am one with everything. that I am God. I am that. I am everything. Which is demoniac, which is hellish. So they ultimately, through mental speculation, come to that understanding that I am God. And that's why it's saying here that that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin. So that's what's sinful about the mental speculation, is that it eventually brings us to the understanding that I'm God. I'm God. And that thought that I am God, that's sinful. That's the very reason why we came to the material world, because we had a desire to be God. So that desire is what brought us here. That desire will keep us here. You know, that we want to be a competitor of God. That we're not happy, satisfied just to serve God. That's our real position, is to serve God. If we want to try to be a competitor and be God ourselves, then that mentality is sinful, and that's what keeps us in the material world like that. So mental speculation, therefore, is to be avoided, So the mind can either just concoct all kind of different ideas in our head. Prabhupada uses different words. He calls it a fertile brain, a mental speculation or mental concoction. You'll often, when you read Prabhupada's books, you'll hear these phrases: mental speculation, mental concoction, fertile brain, like that. But this has to be stopped. So what are we going to do alternatively? Because you can't turn your mind off. So instead of speculating, what's recommended? We should just be hearing from authority. We should just be hearing from authority, and then thinking. Our thinking should be regulated according to that, according to what we hear from authority. Then our thinking is going to be operating according to that. And let's just look at one verse that discusses that. 11th chapter, text 55. 11:55. Have you got it? 11:55. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living entity, he certainly comes to me. So this is the qualifications, criteria to go back to Godhead. And one of those criterias is to be free from the contamination of mental speculation. So, you know, this is definitely important. Material desires is mentioned. So those are the two main things we want to be free from material desires. And we saw that that's what demoniac is, right? They're full of material desires. And the other thing is speculating. Like we read that in the 16th chapter, that I am rich, and by my plans, I will become more richer, and no one will have as much money as me. And my enemies, I have killed him, and I have secured my wealth, and like that. And I am the enjoyer, and no one is as happy as me, and all this stuff. So this is all mental speculation. This is mental speculation, where our mind is just going crazy that I'm like God and I'm enjoying and I've got so much power and wealth and friends and fame and all my enemies are gone. And this is mental speculation, you know, like that. Always making plans how I can get more money and more and more and more. Ha ha ha. You know, it's like that. It's just, this is the mind. Johnny
Jyoti is
said I should be in a play. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd make a perfect demon, because that's my nature, you know, like that.
No, I was just thinking when I
No, you're not a demon.
No, but I was also thinking, God, you'd make such a terrible Hiranyakashipu because, you know, yeah, Hiranyakashipu is like, it has to look demoniac. There's no, you don't look demoniac at all.
Well, that's what I see. You can't tell a demon from their looks. It's the mentality. So I have the mentality. So yeah, you can't go by what you could look like a devotee, but you could have the mentality of a demon. You know, because I was brought up a demon, so I know what the mentality is. And yeah, and Krishna's explaining also like that. So this has to be avoided. We have to be very careful with the mind. And that's why Prabhupada emphasized so much, and all the scriptures emphasize so much, have to control the mind. You have to. That's the foundation of any yoga system. Doesn't matter whether you're into Hatha Yoga, Stanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. You have to control the mind, because if you don't, it's going to turn you into a demon, and you're going to be thinking, oh, it's all absorbed in lust, absorbed in greed, absorbed in envy, you know, hatred, pride, all these negative things. Where are all those emotions? Where are they all at? Lust, greed, anger, envy, pride. That's all in the mind. That's all in the mind. So we have to control that mind, which can turn that demoniac way. We have to control it by always, you know, thinking about Krishna. You know, what am I going to cook for Krishna today? You know, how many rounds of Krishna's names have I chanted? Oh, I've got 5 rounds to chant more. You know, so always engage the mind in Krishna's service. Oh, I've got to clean the temple. I've got to, you know, do arati. I've got to, you know, sort of keep the mind always engaged in Krishna's service. Otherwise, it can tend to that demoniac path like that. And the mind is like a monkey. It's always jumping here and there. So we're learning this process, how to control that monkey mind. And as Gulshan mentioned sometime, when Arjuna said the mind is like the wind, the mind, he said, how do you control the wind? It's very difficult. That's sixth chapter, text 34. So he says, you know, how do you control the mind? It's like the wind. And then Krishna says in the following verse 35 that he actually agrees with Arjuna. Yeah, undoubtedly it is difficult. Abhyasena ta kuntaya, you know, it is difficult. But he says, however, it is possible to control the mind by constant practice and detachment. So that constant practice, that's what we're doing, devotional service. This is the practice to control the mind by chanting every day and hearing about Krishna every day and remembering Krishna every day and detaching from all the, you know, demoniac things, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We're detaching from that. So this is helping us to control the mind through this process. It's very important. Anyway, unfortunately, time's up for me. We'll have to continue this first purport next week. But does anyone want to say anything? Any comments or questions? Ha ha ha!
No.
Hare Krishna.
Fall
Okay,
in
Hare
love
Krishna.
with you. Abhay, you do that, people will just be so mesmerized. Oh, wow. They'll ask you for your autograph.
Now my real heart is coming out. How will I make more money, more and more and more? I will become the richest. No one will be as good as me. Yeah, it's interesting, huh?
Mhm. Okay.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much,
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. But yeah, it's important to understand, you know, how the material energy works. Very important. Not just, you know, that Krishna's playing his flute and dancing with the gopis and these things are going on in the spiritual world. But we have to understand the real essence of the material world, how it catches us, the soul, how it catches the soul, how it binds the soul, how it keeps the soul covered over like that. And then when we understand how it's working, we can figure out how to get out of that. But if you don't even realize what trap we're in, then how are you going to get out of it? You know, like if you want to become healthy, the first thing you have to do in order to become healthy is to understand what is your disease. If you don't even know, if you're ignorant of what sickness you have, you can't even get out of it. You know, like for so long, Jayanti has struggled to get healthy because she didn't know what the problem was. The doctors could not identify what is the problem. You know, so that's our whole material situation. People don't realize how we're being conditioned and controlled by the material energy and everything like that, we think everything's okay, so then it's not possible to become Krishna conscious. So before we can actually become Krishna conscious, we need to become conscious of what is our current situation in the material world like that. What are the traps and what things we have to watch out for and like that, the pitfalls and like that. And then once you've got all that sorted, then you can immediately go to Krishna consciousness. But without sorting all that out, what is the divine? What's the demoniac? Okay, I want to practice the divine things and I want to avoid the demoniac things. If you don't know that, then you're definitely going to fall into the traps like that. So yeah, it's important to be thoroughly aware of all these things.
Yes. Is Gentle well? How is she? How is her back?
It's the physio treatment we just started. I'll just turn the recording off.